My name is Nicholas Robinson and this is Assessment 2.2, and today I'll be doing an analysis for my dive roll. My strength is momentum and how I use the power to get to the end of my dive roll. My weakness is balance and stability as this takes place at the end of my dive roll. My strength is momentum. Momentum is used to generate a force. In the preparation to joining phase, I'm running and using my leg power and weight from running and forward. This means I can get more power in my roll using momentum from the runner. If I keep my weight forward, I can use more of my body weight to push up, and this means a lot more speed and power. The reason I do this is because it makes it a lot easier during the pushing up phase. As I'm running in just before I jump into the air, I do this by getting into a squat-like position and spring off into the air. I do this by bending my knees. I can do this because my knees are a hinge joint, which is a synovial joint. As it is a synovial joint, this means that my knees can move freely. This means that I can flex and extend this joint. Flexion is when the bones move closer together, and extension is when they move further away. This means that my knee is in flexion as I squat down and then I jump up with my knees extending. This allows me to get more power from my knees into the dive roll. This uses momentum as I can use my quadriceps to get maximum power through my dive roll. This means because of momentum I can get back up from my dive roll a lot easier. Even though I've jumped into the air, I still could have done a bit better. I could have used more flexion in my quadriceps to gain more power when I use extension, using more of my legs. This would have meant my quadriceps femoris would have increased momentum. And this means that I would have gotten more power. The ligament that allows me to extend my knee is my lateral femoral endocipal to the head of the fibula. It would have been a lot easier to finish my dive roll as I did not use as much power in this phase. I did not get as much momentum as I cause this means that I have decreased momentum. As you can see in the model, it is bent their knees a lot more. You can see this in the perfect models. They tuck in a bit more, increasing momentum power. However, I have done it to get enough momentum to finish my dive roll. This is shown in Newton's law when every action has an equal and opposite reaction. In this case, is me pushing off to get force into my dive roll. My weakness of my dive roll is balance and stability. Balance and stability is the ability to maintain a line of gravity. As you can see, as I'm about to finish my dive roll, my hands touch the ground. This is because my weight is back. In a normal dive roll, my hands do not need to touch the ground. In a dive roll, I should tuck in to finish off. However, I do not tuck in. This is because I put my hands, instead of them putting them forward, tucking in, I put them on the ground. This affected my balance and stability as it meant my weight was backwards, meaning it is harder to push off. Therefore, it needs something for my body to push up. Therefore, I use my hands. As you can see, in the end, I fall over. This is because I pushed up with my hands, and this means that there was too much momentum and I fell forward. As you can see in the perfect model, the person's weight is forward, and this means that she does not need to push off with her hands and get more momentum, and their weight is forward. If my weight was forward, it would result in a better dive roll as my hands would not need to touch the ground. My balance at the end was not good either, as this was because I was overbalancing at the end. This was because I fall over a bit. Instead of me standing up very still, I walk over, and this is because I overbalanced. If you look at the perfect model, you can see that they do not overbalance. This is because of a combination of the fact that my feet were very close together and my weight is forward. This is because of momentum and me pushing myself up with my hands at the end of my dive roll. A recommendation I would make is to push my weight forward by tucking in. This means I can get a lot more momentum to push forward. In the pushing up phase, my weight is back. If my weight is back, by tucking in, this would mean that I will get more momentum to finish my dive roll as my weight is forward. I will do this by using my hip joint. This means that I would be able to lean forward as my hip joint is a hinge joint. This means that I flex my hip joint and my weight will be forward. This will cause me to get more velocity in the roll. Therefore, my balance and stability will be forward in the better position. However, as my line of gravity is backwards, this means that I'm not in the right position to execute the dive roll. You can see this on the perfect model as the person tucks in, and this means that they can get more momentum to finish the dive roll because its balance and stability is forward. This results in the person being very stable at the end of the dive roll. The person achieves this by using flexion in his hip joint. The muscles would have used during this process is the hip flexor. If I had flexed my hip a bit more, this would result in me tucking in and my weight being forward in the roll. My quadriceps will allow my legs to move up, and I were to use my external obliques and my internal obliques shown in the diagram. This means that I would have been able to bend over and reach my legs, and this would mean my weight is forward, as I would be in a tuck position. As this was not the case, my weight was back. Another recommendation I'll make is at the end, is when I stand up right at the end. This is because my weight is forward, therefore I fall over. This is because at the end of my dive roll I push up with my hands, and it means I'm overbalanced. As my weight is pushing forward, this means that I have overbalanced. This is because my external obliques and my internal obliques are flexing a bit. This means that I bend over a bit. This I cause a slight force at the end, and my hands are pushing me off the ground into a standing position. As my abs are flexing, this means that it ends with me taking a step as my line of gravity is forward, resulting in taking a step forward. If my weight was in a neutral position, this would mean that my line of gravity would be in a neutral position, and this would mean that I would not need to take another step forward. This is assessment 2.2 by Nicholas Robinson.